Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today is day number 16 on my 30 days focus month of January of 2025 on 70s, 80s, and some 60s related new age, electronic, experimental, and ambient records. Today is 1987's Wavestar's album called Moonwind, which was on Audion Records, which was Larry Fast and Synergy's label in the '80s. And this is towards the end of the label's career, putting out music towards the end, 1987, 88. I think they finished in '89. But this is a I think well, I'll start off by saying if you're a Tangerine Dream fan, I think you'll want to check out this. If you're a prog rock fan, I think you'll enjoy this. If you like space rock, I know you'll enjoy this. Um, if you're into ambient music, I think you'll enjoy where this came from. And there's some good songs on here. Maybe some ones that you would like. It depends on how much you like new age, but I think this is more a balance of new age and really um, space space music. I don't know if I would call it space rock, although there's some drums in here, and I think there, if I remember correctly, there's some guitars in here. Yeah, there's some guitars in here for sure. So it is kind of space rock a bit as well. So if you're a fan of like Tangerine Dream stuff, you should definitely want to hear this. This is their third album. Strangely enough, I'm talking to John Dyson from Wavestar right now in hopes of putting their first album. This is their third album. Their first album called Mind Journey on vinyl for the first time for my label, and which is from 1984. And the last couple of months, I've been trying to kind of piece together and sort out what I'm going to release on my label, Rediscovery Records, going forward in 2025 and 2026. And it seems like I've almost touched on most of the styles that I did through the first 4 years of my label, and but one style that I hadn't really touched on was sort of new age, and but my love for like new age and early electronics and stuff like that. Um, Having starting to do these reviews the last month or so, and kind of building up to be doing this, and then kind of I've been organizing a lot of my collection recently, and getting my new age albums sort of together and stuff like that. It's kind of inspired me to, and also think about if I did release anything on my label, what would it be? And so two ones that came to mind was I'm in talks with um, the I think her name is Kate from Emerald Web, who I reviewed earlier this week, and then also John from Wavestar, and hoping to put out their two of their early records. And I think those would be a great addition to the label. And just to touch on, um, my love for early synthesizer music, and I know it won't. I think a lot of the people that follow my label are probably a little bit more into the chill out music and stuff like that. But hopefully they'll appreciate a little bit of at least two albums worth of new age. The last album that I put out was my first foray into like glitch and ambient and a little bit of dub, and I think it was well received, but it's not going to sell as much as maybe some of the other ones, or be as widely regarded as some. But I think hopefully people that follow certain labels like trust the person who's running the label, that they have good taste in music. Like if you like a couple things that a label puts out, then there's a good chance they'll turn you on to something else, right? That's the great thing about following labels. And going back to this, I followed Audion because of Larry Fast and Synergy, and I trusted um, his taste in music, and that led me to finding Emerald Web, and also finding this Wavestar album. I think it was Gary Hughes's, who I also reviewed, and even Barry Cleveland, and a couple other artists in there as well. Excuse me. So labels are very important, especially back in the day, to finding new music. And hopefully people will like those records that I put out. But anyways, um, this is a really awesome sounding record. Like, especially if you get the vinyl copy too. This I got lucky and got this back in like the maybe like 2001 or something. And obviously I bought it just based on the cover. I mean, look at the cover. If you like space music, how can you not want to check this out, right? Um, so I got this record almost 25 years ago, and it's a great sounding record, as is most of the all the Audion records that I've got a chance to check out. I think I have about six off the label, and every one of them pressing the vinyl sounds great. And it sounds great in an 80s way too, because it's nice and spacious. The volume isn't over the top. It's got like a lot of headroom. Nice and quiet vinyl. Um, Not overloaded on any one particular side. In the ideal 17 to roughly 22 minutes per side. So they're very enjoyable records, and I urge you, if you're interested in any kind of new age music. I've already reviewed a couple on Audion. Um, you know, Pick up those records now before they get expensive, because they still go for a good price. I mean, they still go for a very reasonable, very price. You'll get a lot of enjoyment out of $5, $10, $15 records for the most part. So pick them up if you're interested in new age music. And the cool thing about the Wavestar is this one's more Berlin school style, which is probably my favorite style of new age or krautrock, or which is ideal later on. Tangerine, later on 70s is more Berlin school ambient than it is prog rock or space rock or even ambient music. Like, Berlin school is kind of the term that I most um, ideally connect with of the styles, and this one's certainly in there. Um, the drums are kind of basic in here, and that's kind of par for the course with some space rock music. It's not going to be like any techno music or really cool beats. Like, it's going to be on the space rock sound. And but the main melodies stay really strong throughout the album. They never go into a cheesy range, which is great, which is something I always look for. Um, and they're pretty mainstream keyboards melodies too, and they still don't sound cheesy because the production and the equipment are so great. It works, and that's even a bigger surprise on this album, because a lot of times when you do some fairly main melodies, like, it can get like a little bit of kind of cheesiness and stuff like that. But here, the production and equipment are still so great that you're just taking it in and enjoying it, and it's great. Uh, there's not a lot of edge in here. There's it's pretty straightforward. Like Tangerine Dream style, nothing too deep. Maybe except the first couple minutes on Voyager, the first track, which is epic sounding. Um, the opening 4 or 5 minutes is just breathtaking. It's like you're getting comfortable, ready to watch some amazing, like, stargazing event. Like, you're getting comfortable and it's fading in, and you're ready to watch some stargazing. And it's going to be one of the most amazing stargazing events you've ever had. Like, that's what it feels like as this album kind of comes into focus. The sequencer that comes in, and you just immediately think Tangerine Dream. Right around 4 or 5 minutes, you immediately started thinking that it sounds like Tangerine Dream, which is great. I don't care if they're trying to knock them off. They're not. It's still great. This is a great example of space ambient and space rock, and again, it goes into a little bit of space rock, and it's really well done. Voyager, the first track, I give 4 stars. The second track, Edge of the Morning, I give 2.5 stars. Kabbalah, I give 3 stars. Track 4, Troll Valley. I really like the minimalism in this track. With 4 stars. Great track. And then the last track is the title track. I give 3 stars. I'm guessing this is, I've read some stories, some other reviews. People think this is sort of like a knockoff Pink Floyd. And I guess they're talking about this specific track. I don't know how much they're talking about the entire album because I'm not a big Pink Floyd fan. And I don't know a lot of Pink Floyd, but Moonwind does sound like Pink Floyd, so I don't know if, um, they were mentioning this. But the one of the guys from the band, if you see on Discogs, if you see on this review, somebody wrote that these people should write Pink Floyd a check for their inspiration or basically just knocking off their music. And so not John Dyson, but the other guy in the band, I guess he's a little bit older. He says, well, that's great and all, but maybe they should write me a check because I wrote that song in 1962, 63 before Pink Floyd was a thing. So I was like, wow, really? So I gotta ask him about that. Once I get a little bit more comfortable, because we just exchanged a few emails this week. But John seems like a really nice guy, so I'd be curious to, get his input. And of course, I do the inserts if you knew my label, and I'll definitely put some history in there and ask him about that. But really looking forward to releasing that first album. I'm not sure if it's going to fit on one record or two, though, so that could be something we figure out because it's a little bit too big to fit on one record. Unlike this one that fits nicely on one side. On one record. But overall, 16.5 stars divided by 5 is a 3.3. I think that correlates really well to where I think the album is. It's on the middle side of a very good album. 76 out of 100. Really good album. It's something that probably anybody that's into prog rock or space rock should check out and see what you think. And I'm curious if you've heard of this album, or if not, check out the track called Voyager by Wavestar and tell me what you think. I'd be curious to know your opinion. Yeah, I'd really like to see some more comments, from people and especially if you haven't heard music. I know I'm still kind of like kind of going over like the more popular stuff. Like I really, I hope as kind of a side note to having this record or this channel is to turn people on to music that I found and music that I like. So I hope that it gets to a point where you're like, who is that? Like, what is that? Like, oh, I'm gonna check it out. Oh, I really like it. Oh, and then hopefully you'll comment, right? I hope that we'll get to that a little bit more as these videos reach more people, hopefully, and this channel reaches more people, hopefully. And you guys will appreciate some of the music that I'm sharing with you guys. Hopefully I can help expand your taste as well as these artists have helped expand my taste and other people expanded my taste as well. So I think everybody has a music mentor and a music friend that kind of hipped you to a lot of music. Hopefully I can be that person for you guys. If you guys aren't too much into finding music, but hopefully you can trust my opinion and find some good music from some of the videos that I do. That would be an honor to be a part of that, and that's really important for me. And hopefully I can be that for somebody else, because like I think of like a record I found and I listen to that record and I'm like, it seems like I always think about the first time I heard the certain piece of music or the first time I heard the record, but even even also who showed me that record, right? How did I find it, right? How did I just, I found that at Tower Records. Oh yeah, I remember taking a chance on that. Okay, even more so if I can remember like, oh, my brother-in-law was really into Oingo Boingo when we were growing up. Like he kind of got me to appreciate Danny Elfman's early solo stuff, or early Oingo Boingo. So that's kind of the cool thing, is you're kind of tying people in your life, in your music, I would say your evolution of your music appreciation is sort of, not only the spaces that you hear the music, whether it be a club or a bar or where you got it at a certain record store, or you were on a trip and you went into the record store and you picked up a record in that city or something like that. But also the people that have helped show you music, right? That's really impactful too. Um, that there's certain bands and artists and stuff like that. I just, as soon as I think of their name, I think of like, oh, my oldest sister. Like, she got me really into Morrissey. Like, you couldn't walk around the house without hearing my brother playing a Smiths track. Like, those are cool memories of my youth, and parts of my music evolution of appreciation music, through the years is sort of being inspired by that. And then also there's a little bit of like, um, ones that kind of go over your head, right? But later on you appreciate them, right? Even stuff. And then there's also the side of that too, like your parents playing. My parents used to play the Bee Gees all the time, and yeah, I've always liked the Bee Gees, but you have a certain appreciation of music, later on, that maybe your parents played. Just they tie to good memories, and they tie to your early love of collecting music and reading liner notes and watching LEDs on the you know on the on your amplifier, or watching the VU meters, like winding tapes up, or looking through records, or looking through record collections. Like, there's so many like little parts of appreciating music and your journey through music that ties to other people and other people's collections and where you heard it and stuff like that. And that's all exciting, and hopefully coming to YouTube and sort of sharing those experiences with those. Hopefully, you know, maybe somebody out there will be like, oh, I remember where I heard this 30 years ago. It was Tim recommended it on Electric Cafe. So that would be a dream of mine. That would be a true honor to be part of other people's music appreciation and how they found music. That'd be a big kick for me, and uh, I'd be honored to be part of anybody's music appreciation and their growth with music, and helping them find a cool record. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Wavestar, the album, Moonwind. I put Moonstar here for some reason. I mean Moonwind. Need to change that. Moonwind, not Moon River. Moonwind. All right, thanks so much for listening. 76 out of 100.